Hey, what's happening, Roland? Well, today's Friday. It's time for the Friday update of the week, and it's the first week of December, and it's Christmas is coming up, and all sorts of neat things are happening, and the fish are biting. That's one good thing. And I'm over at Felsmere right now, and I'll talk about what I've been doing over here a little bit. The first thing I've done, you know, my shiner fishing is a really big time deal. This is the time of year we catch so many big 7, 8, 9, and even 10-pound bass on shiners, and so I went ahead and built this big shiner tank. This is an 8'3" by 3" shiner tank, and it holds like 20 dozen shiners. Okay, that's all I need when I go out and catch shiners myself, and that's what I do. See, the whole thing right now, shiners are hard to come by. They're $24 a dozen, and they're often out. So I'm going to go out in just a few minutes. I'll be throwing a cast net, showing you a little bit of how to do that on a subsequent YouTube. And I catch my own shiners, and I save hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Because then I also built a top for this whole thing. You notice it's a shaded top. It keeps the leaves out. It keeps everything kind of in shape. And so it took me a whole day to build that top and get the tank all mounted, plumbed up, and everything else. But let's go look at the boat for a second. I just want to show you something on the boat. Now my boat is set up for big time shiner fishing. You notice this big white tank? That's a 33-gallon tank, okay? And that's one big part of it. That's a big tank. And along with that, I have oxygen. I have oxygen cylinders in the compartments here, and that supplies oxygen to the shiners. I'll put like 20 dozen in there. And I have these big 10-foot cast nets, and I can throw a cast net real good. You know, I used to run a big bait operation there at Clewiston for years and years and years, and we had I trained all sorts of people on how to throw a cast net. So this afternoon I'm going to actually make a YouTube on the way to throw a cast net, the efficient way to throw one. But anyway, these are shiner poles here. These are real lightweight PVC poles right here, and I stick these down into the mud, and you know, it kind of marks where I want to cast my cast net if it's just open water. Now here's a rake. Shiners are around the hydrilla. They just love hydrilla. So sometimes I'll find a big, thick area of hydrilla, and I'll have to take the rake, and I'll have to kind of rake the hydrilla away from there. A little hydrilla is fine, but just a whole lot of hydrilla kind of messes up my cast net. Now, the other thing I do is I use this hog food. Well, if I can find the hog food, I got a big sack of it right here somewhere. I got all kind of hog food. Okay, this is hog food right here. Let me just show you what it is. And that's a big one. Okay. This is hog food. See that? Look at that. Farina hog food. And I'll throw this stuff out, and it's just little pellets. It's little pellets, little granules of hog food, and it's kind of alfalfa, and there's soy cake, and there's cottonseed cake. There's all kind of different components to that hog food. But anyway, the shiners come into it. Unfortunately, the bluegills come in too, and you don't want to catch bluegills. You can't do that. And the catfish come in, and they mess your net up. So it's kind of fine and dandy. The other thing I've done that makes my shiner catching so good is I put a washdown system, and I'll show it to you. But it's a big long, it's a washdown like you have on a saltwater boat, and I have it poured out in the back of the boat, and it's a lot of pressure. It's like 5 gallons a minute of pressure, and I can wash this whole boat down and knock all the dirt out, and shiner scales and all the nasty stuff off the carpet after I've done my shiner catching. Okay, now this happened this week. I had kind of a good and bad week. I had one day, I said to these guys, I said, okay, let's go fishing. It's a guide trip deal. We'll use lures to start with, and then we'll go to shiners. And they said, okay, we want to fish lures, but you know, we're open to the shiner thing. So we go into this hole, and right off the bat, it's a big dynamite hole deal. And we catch a couple on a plastic worm, and a couple on a chatterbait, and everything's fine. And then I finally said, okay, it's time now to throw the shiners in and see what happens. Boom, we catch a 6-pounder. Boom, we catch a 5-pounder. Boom, we catch a 4-pounder. And that's just the first spot. So each spot we went to, we'd catch 1 or 2 small fish maybe on a lure, and then we'd really stack them up on the shiners. And that particular day, I think we caught 60 bass. I'm not sure, just off and on. You know, about 20 of them were on lures and about 40 of them were on shiners. So the shiner bite is a lot better. and the shiner bite's producing bigger fish right now. That's the other whole big part of it. Okay, then 2 days ago, I had some diehard guys they were wonderful guys from Minnesota, and they said, we don't want to fish shiners. We're strictly artificial. I said, so I'd pull up to a spot, we'd catch maybe a little one. I'd say, folks, there's 6 and 8 pounders right here. I know we can catch one here. No. I had 5 dozen shiners in the boat. I said, and I'd open up the live wheel and I'd say, or pick one up, look, this is insurance. I know we'll catch a big fish. No, we won't want to do that. So I started throwing chatterbait at the edge of the thing. I caught one 5.5. We caught another one almost 6 pounds flipping. I had another big fish on that was in the 5 and 6 pound range, a couple 3 pounders. So we had a medium day. We had like 15 bass, but we could have tripled that with the shiners. The point is, we did have a couple big ones on artificial, and that's often what happens. Oh, I was going to tell you the day before when we did the combination thing, late in the afternoon, the water temperature came up, and see, all day, and the reason why I was saying to the guys, I said, it's not going to be a very good lure day. The whole time it was cold. The water temperature was in the low 60s. And I told them, I said, listen, when it gets around 70, this is when these bass in Florida really start to bite. So that afternoon, this was like 4 or 5 days ago, late in the afternoon, it got up to 69 degrees. And one of the boys said, well, let me try a topwater. Bam, he catches one about 5 pounds on a topwater. I said, that's really cool. Now, we're fishing shiners too, but they're starting to hit topwater. Then right after that, I catch one almost that size. And then the other guy puts a big frog on, throws to a little point, we call it the hard line. It's just a bunch of blown in stuff. See, there's stuff that floats around. These islands of vegetation float on this lake. And there like be an island over here one day, and the wind will change, and islands over here the next day. And there was this point of this island, floating island. Water's all about 6 or 7 feet deep underneath the roots, and the roots hang down about this far, so the fish can hide underneath these floating islands. Anyway, he throws the frog right to the edge of it, and the shady side, boom, about a 6 pounder gets it. It's really a classic deal. So that was a good day with topwater. And so today is a good day. Now today and tomorrow are exceptionally good day. There's 75 and almost 80 degree weather for the first time in over a week. And see, here again, I have to emphasize the fact that here in South Florida, you need that water over 70 for really good lure fishing. You want it 70, even 75, even 80 degrees. It's much better for lure fishing, particularly size topwater, particularly the swim baits. Now, worm fishing and jig fishing, you get by a little bit colder water, or chatterbait. Sometimes the cooler weather is good for that too. So, anyway, it's just a matter of water temperature right now. That's really the kind of the key to that. That's kind of been happening this week. We got back from the U.S. Open last week with Johnny Morris and all the guys, and the big $1 million payoff, and I told you all about that. That was really, I'm still recuperating from that. The world's biggest tournament in the whole world. So that was a good deal. But this week I've just been fishing hard. Had just a great week, and I'm looking forward to a good trip tomorrow. And then, hey, Jimmy Houston and I, and Walt Reynolds, my marketing guy, we're headed in just a couple of days. We're headed to Venice, Louisiana. So actually, this coming week, I'm headed to Venice. We're going to catch sea trout. We're going to catch redfish, and we're going to catch largemouth bass. We're going to catch all kind of fish. I'm going to take my bass boat. Jimmy's going to take one of his little tracker boats, and we're going to team up, and we're going to do a bunch of film work. And so we're going to have a lot of fun in Venice, Louisiana. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on in my world. I'm really having a good time with this headwater stuff. I'm over here at the Felsmere Outdoor Resorts right now, and I'm helping out this guy by the name of Pat Kelly. Pat and his wife Jackie, they have a shiner operation right here, and you notice the shiner tanks that we have. He carries about 100 dozen shiners, and this is pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of shiner tanks and a lot of shiners in the water here. You can see them; they're all in the water. They're all swimming around. But here's the problem: he often runs out of bait. Now that's the biggest problem with this operation right now. Is what I do to safeguard that. Not only do I save hundreds and hundreds of dollars a day, but by catching my own bait, keeping my own bait alive and fresh. Here's the thing: I have more bait than anybody else. I have fresher bait than anybody else. It's livelier, jumps around more, and that really makes a difference when it's tugging on the line and really skipping around good. And I have the ability to kind of chum with the bait. In other words, I could just throw half dead ones out there and let them just swim around and just attract to get the fish in a big frenzy. So there's a lot of advantages in catching your own bait, not only the economic reasons, but the fact that often they sell out of bait. And so by catching my own bait, that's not a problem. Okay, folks, well, that's what's happening. I'll give you an update next week with Jimmy and I in Venice, Louisiana. Hey, stay tuned, and thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.